Hola, amigos. For sure. My name is John Cronin.
I am actually Colette. I am actually 30. I am from Boston. I actually do have my own cookie company. It's actually called a call. It's actually called a call Petty's Cookies.
When Omar was born 24 years ago, that was really a brand new experience for us. We had nobody in the family with Down syndrome. And being both clinicians, we were very interested in finding out how it happens, why it happens, what can be the long-term effects of this diagnosis on a human body.
So my sister-in-law, Teresa, who is almost 52, has Down syndrome. And from really the day my husband and I started dating, and we've been married now over 25 years, Teresa was always part of our life.
Our middle son, Jay, was born with Down syndrome in 1974. And when he was born, we were told to institutionalize him, as he would never walk, talk, or establish any emotional connections. He'd just sit in the corner and rock. In fact, they told us, tell your friends that he had died.
When he was born, his life expectancy was 30. Now it's close to 60. He's living independently now. He's got a roommate, limited support, and he's worked in the supermarket about a block down the street for 29 years.
I have Down syndrome, and never coming back. My title is the Chief Having Officer.
And what's your company?
My company is John Quincy Socks. I love going hiking, dancing, basketball, track and field, soccer, snowshoe.
So when he turned 22, he graduated. I did not want him to stay home and be, in his mind, be somebody who is not needed or wanted. In the last 4 or 5 years, he really got into comic books and superheroes, and he started calling himself Spider-Man or Spidey and Peter Parker. Those were his names, and he gives everybody superhero names. So I knew what I need to do, and I opened a comic book store for him 3 years ago. It has done extremely well. He's a character. He's a sweetheart, you know. I just love him so much, and anything and everything that I can do for him and his buddies, you know, I want to do it.
We actively worked with our local ARC, and actually Teresa's in her own home now, and the ARC provides 24/7 care. And it's just been so much fun to see her grow in her independence with her own home. And that went really, really well for about 18, 24 months, and then COVID hit. And COVID's been pretty difficult, both for Teresa and her roommate. There's 2 of them there in the home. And it disrupted their routine. They're both extremely social.
During COVID time, we were like having so many orders always coming in.
Because Colette's Cookies is an online store, we found that more orders were coming in. Colette had decided to match any orders that came in for first responders. So it was actually a really nice experience, I think, especially for Colette to ship and deliver cookies to hospitals,
Yes, and also police departments, and also with higher departments too also.
He actually got COVID in March of last year. He got it from his friend, and he was pretty sick for a few days. Now, recently, we all got vaccinated, and he's fine. He's very proud of it. He says now he's Iron Man because now he's immune to all these kind of things.
I actually had 2 different COVID shots because I actually did had a 2 different reactions. Then also right after I had had my second shot, it was a worst nightmare I ever did.
It was a good 25 minutes after the shot that all of a sudden her whole mouth just had swelled, yeah, really swelled up. And she just started, I think she really started panicking and getting very anxious. They immediately gave her the EpiPen.
Yes.
And it's just customary, if you have an EpiPen, you have to go to the emergency room.
Which I did. I would say to these people with their families is that I would say is all they need to do is to be extra careful. If I say to be extra careful not to get any of the reactions.
Colette doesn't have allergies and she's never had allergic reactions before. So I think for any other families that have a child with Down syndrome, I would probably just say, make sure that there's an EpiPen there.
When COVID hit February and March, and of course, all Special Olympics sports stopped in March. And that was huge for Jay and for us because Jay in the spring was doing tennis and bowling, and that all stopped because he works in the supermarket where there was, huge exposure. So we took him out of work in the supermarket at the end of March. He was not happy about that because he loves to work. We were lucky enough to be able to get him and his roommate established with a landscaping crew, but they enjoyed it and they were earning money and they were keeping busy. So that was a very good thing.
The virus and the pandemic has affected everybody and in different ways. I think, we look at our colleagues with differing abilities. Many of them are isolated anyway.
Yeah.
And the pandemic only further isolated people. And that was problematic. We were very cautious. We know that people with Down syndrome face a greater risk if they got the virus. So we were very careful. And despite that, right before Christmas, we all developed the virus. By Christmas morning, John was having a lot of difficulty breathing. They admitted him right away. So they immediately were treating him with an aggressive regimen. One thing that was very good, they let me stay with him, so he was not alone. For the next day, things just got worse. And then things turned around. The treatment took effect. And from there, everything improved. So 8 days later, he came dancing out of the hospital. We did go back to Huntington Hospital and held an event there to thank everybody, right? You've got to thank people. We gave out socks.
Yeah, we did. That's what we do.
But we also use that as an occasion to raise people's awareness about the specific risk that people with Down syndrome face and about the value of allowing a family member to stay, because that was really critical.
That was key.
What are you always saying? What are the two things?
Gratitude and do for others.
Gratitude and do for others, right?
Today, Jay is sharper than ever at 47, but we know that meanwhile, inside his head, the ravages of Alzheimer's are likely already beginning. We've encouraged him to get involved in research studies.
He's perfectly willing to do that. He doesn't mind having blood drawn and having these kinds of tests. And I think he understands, well, maybe he doesn't, but this probably won't help him, but it'll help people in the future. But we would certainly want to encourage researchers to think about trying out a drug on people with Down syndrome that could help mitigate the effects of what he probably has already started here.
We've been very fortunate. We've had good access to care. We've had good access to schools. One of the concerns that we have, as parents for John. Clearly, the Alzheimer's weighs on our mind.
And the research that that is being done for Alzheimer's disease is particularly poignant to us because not only do we recognize that John's at increased risk for early Alzheimer's, but my mother, who I visited this past weekend, the reason she's in a facility is she has Alzheimer's disease. And we know how devastating that is.
So let me ask you this. Would you be willing to participate in a research study if it meant going to see a doctor maybe every other month for the
Yeah.
doctor to check on you?
So that
And it
people
meant
could,
you keeping a log of
they
activity?
could learn more about how to
Would
treat.
you be willing to do that?
Sure.
I actually work at Eli Lilly and Company, a global pharmaceutical company, and I'm on the Alzheimer's disease research team. I'm a big research advocate where you have either aging parents who may not have the ability to provide the transportation or be facing their own cognitive challenges, or you have siblings like us who have lives that would make clinical trial participation, being a study partner, really, really difficult. I think as researchers, we're going to have to be creative.
My personal belief as a clinician, as a scientist, is that we should be part of any and every research which can benefit these people to live independently. I think that as parents, we should encourage other parents to be part of research and anything which can help these people.
The medical researchers are going to save lives. They're going to make lives better, and not just for Down syndrome, but for
The
not just
general
for
population.
people with Down syndrome, but for all of us. Get busy.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
We're counting on you. To us, it's not abstract. Just know it's not.